Welcome to episode 8 of the Culture and Arts podcast. I am Joe Ruiz, the very sick Joe Ruiz with a very fresh cold, and I kind of sound like Barry White, don't I, David?
You do.
You'll never find. Oh, that wasn't even Barry White, was it?
I don't know, but I knew you were going to sing for us.
I had to try out the deep voice. You know,
Right,
it's like
right.
when you get a new toy, you got to play with it.
Yeah.
Jason, good morning.
Good morning.
And David, good morning.
Good morning.
Gentlemen, how was your week?
Oh, I had a great week, I think. I can't think of anything exciting necessarily. I didn't get fired from my job, so that's probably a pretty good
It's
week.
always a plus.
Set
Right.
those bars high.
Right? I didn't get divorced. I didn't get fired, and I don't know. So there we go. Hey, I'm on a diet. MyFitnessPal. You guys trying this out?
No. Tell us about MyFitnessPal.
This is what seems to be the best way to lose weight that you can imagine. It's on my iPhone. It's an app. Anything I eat, I just dial in. I just put right then. And I kid you not, I've had I've had more Snickers bars and more fast food than I normally have. I just make sure I'm under my calorie mark.
Right.
And I'm losing weight.
Really?
I am losing weight eating Snickers bars and McDonald's. This is the greatest diet ever.
Sounds like something we got to jump on there,
Yeah.
Jason.
I mean, occasionally I do have to have a salad for lunch or a banana for breakfast to keep the calories low.
The cruel world.
Enough to, all these fruits and vegetables. What are we going to do? So what about you, Jason? You have a good week this week?
It's just been a busy week. Working as a furniture salesman, this is kind of our Christmas time. So,
Oh, all right.
But you're off.
yes, I
You're
have
off all weekend.
a rare weekend off.
Exciting stuff. What are you
That's
going to do with
great.
your weekend besides produce the cap here?
Well, I've got a lot of feelers out there. I haven't gotten any definite answers, and just got a
Nope.
couple things I'm
All
trying
right.
to work out.
You're
Right
going
on,
to go
right
see a
on.
movie. What's out? Captain America? You going to go see?
That's not till April.
Not
That's
okay.
not till
I'm
April,
a
yeah.
little fast forward there.
I am excited about Captain America.
That looks awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a Captain America.
And
fan.
Scarlett Johansson is playing Black Widow in it, but I read this week that she is now pregnant.
That'll make
However, I guess it's not going to affect any of her scenes in the shooting. They're just going to like push her stuff to the front so she can get it out of the way before she gets.
that would make
baby
martial
weight.
arts more difficult.
Yeah,
being
shooting.
pregnant.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
shooting her scenes to start with. So
Yeah.
And what film is this that she's in?
for the Avengers sequel.
Oh, okay. They're already filming that.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's coming out in 2015. Pretty excited. And speaking of 2015, I saw last night that YouTube will be 10 years old in 2015.
Is that not crazy?
Next year.
And how old's Facebook? Where are we at with that?
I'm not sure how old Facebook is at this point. I'm going to guess 2001 was Facebook.
But like some of these technologies that seem like they're new, or some of these new features in our life, they've been around a decade or so now.
Yeah,
That-
it's insane.
Time goes by.
Time goes by really, really fast. And before you know it, there'll be like a decade of the cap.
Right, exactly. That'll
I'm all
be
right with that.
Yeah.
That'll be a changed world.
Be like, this is episode 260 of the cap, the Culture and Arts podcast.
Right? Pretty exciting stuff.
I popped the Viagra this morning, and I'm doing all right.
Oh no! who do you think our first celebrity guest
Stood at attention.
will be on the cap?
First celebrity guest will probably be David Merle. When are you
Oh,
gonna, when are
right.
you gonna
That's
hit
it.
big?
That's it. You're going to call me back because I'm going to go move on to bigger and better. I'm going to replace Carson Daly on the Today Show. That's what's going to happen. Isn't it? And then you guys are going to call me back.
Again, setting his bar high, right, Jason?
Right.
I will say this: the more I watch The Voice, the more I get how you feel about Carson Daly.
Well, how can you not watch The Voice, by the way? The Voice is on every night, every channel. It is on all the time.
And the off season is so short. They just take. It's like they'll do a season. It'll take 14 weeks or whatever it takes. They'll have 6 weeks off, and then they'll come back, but they'll switch a couple of the hosts out.
Oh, it's crazy. When you hear the commercial on the radio, they're like, the new season premiere of The Voice. I'm like, I thought that was yesterday.
Yeah, didn't it just end?
You can't. I couldn't keep track.
It's like Dancing with the Stars. There's always a new season.
Right. I think they should NBC just needs to merge. Like, man, I can't even think of that show that everything Law and Order.
Law and Order. Yeah, there was always a new Law and Order.
Yeah, and The Voice, and it would take over their network. They love Saturday Night Live, so I'm sure they'd leave a little room for that. But
Law and Order was kind of an interesting evolution. I felt like they were reaching, and I don't know if it's still on or not, but it was like it started with Law and Order, then it was like Law and Order SVU, Law and Order.
There was Criminal Intent.
Yeah.
There was Law and Order L.A.
Yeah.
And there was even another one that was like...
Didn't it start getting really extreme, though?
Yeah.
Like they were just reaching for a new location?
Yeah, it was like Law and
Coming
Order.
this season, Law and Order.
Jupiter.
Yeah. Law and Order in the lost city of Atlantis.
What I'm really afraid
It's like
of...
the Leprechaun movies. Leprechaun in space.
or Tremors. Didn't Tremors have... that was not a movie that needed a sequel.
Vampires de los Muertos. You ever see John Carpenter made like a sequel to Vampires, and he just called it like Vampires Los Muertos. And it was like, and then he threw Bon Jovi in it. John Bon Jovi is one of the makers. It's like, who thought that was a great idea?
Well, I mean, Bon Jovi, there's a fan base there, but you can't, throw nice...
As an actor?
I don't know. No, I guess what I'm saying is people might tune in to see Bon Jovi, but you can't throw him in garbage. I mean, I wouldn't think.
But isn't, like, when you say Vampires Los Muertos, isn't Los Muertos like the dead?
Yeah, I think so.
And vampires are already dead. Like, that's what vampires are. So it seems a little redundant to me to have to say vampires the dead.
Right?
The dead.
It's like The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
The dead.
Not to beat up on this L.A. Law and Order thing. But I'm really getting confused. But not to beat up on the Law and Order thing too much, but I'll tell you what I'm afraid of. I have a tendency to get into shows way too late, and if I get into Law and Order late, I got a couple decades I'm behind here, and that is frightening. That is frightening.
Well, we could always start the new the spin-off series and go the opposite route, and we'll call it like Anarchy and Chaos or something.
So
Anarchy and Injustice. I don't know. But moving on to our topics this week, guys, Jason found a it's extremely ridiculous piece to start off the show with. Jason, you want to tell us a little bit about this article?
Yeah, there's a guy in Texas who recently injured another man with a replica Zelda sword. And it's not a toy, it's an actual sword that was made to look like the sword from Zelda. And basically what happened, he was living with his girlfriend, they got into an argument. She called her ex-husband to come over, and the way he tells this story, he basically grabbed the sword, held it out, and said, "You don't live here, leave," and the guy ran into the sword.
He was trying to ward him off.
Yes.
Isn't that always the case?
But then the ex-husband apparently hit the guy in the head with a flower pot, which is, of course, the way you find all the neat weapons and power-ups in video games.
That's why when you see this article on Gawker, he looks like he has a Harry Potter scar on his forehead.
Wow.
Little lightning bolt.
Now, I love this story. I mean, if I'm going to go to blows with, ex-husband of my wife or something along that lines, I'm going all in character of some kind. You know what I'm saying? I'm walking out in the Jedi outfit with a lightsaber, and I'm making this guy think I'm nuts, but prepared for battle. This Zelda thing is pretty cool.
I think it's great that she called her ex-husband for help, and then new boyfriend tries to ward him off with the Zelda sword. It's as if he's saying, "Hey, I'm Link, you're Link from the past," right? Which is one of the video games, so that's great.
Right. Now, is Zelda still a relevant video game?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, because for myself, I'm not a gamer, and I'm just thinking, isn't there, maybe some cooler video game characters that he could have embraced?
They always reinvent Zelda, and it really has a cult following. I would say with that and Mario Brothers, those are still the biggest franchises for the Nintendo brand, I would think.
Yeah, there's a new version of Zelda every couple years, and it's usually a big deal.
I'm glad he chose Zelda versus Mario. I mean, because I'm sure he can't shoot fireballs, but if he can, he should have gone for the fireball.
Is he kicking a turtle shell?
Right.
Honey,
right.
where did you get those white suspenders?
Right.
I think it would be great though if it would have been like a Harry Potter magic wand.
I'm going Jedi all day though.
Jedi?
I mean,
you take Jedi over Harry Potter?
I think so, Jason. If you're confronting your girlfriend's ex, what character do you play?
I like your Jedi idea.
What do you do though? I mean, how would this article read if it had been a Jedi thing? Man battles his ex-girlfriend's ex-husband with a Jedi mind trick?
Well, I think if you really want to intimidate, you have the Darth Maul mask and maybe like a double lightsaber.
It's like a lightsaber replica?
Yeah,
Okay.
if such a thing exists,
Yeah.
of course. But,
Oh, I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure they're out there. But I would have liked to have seen it if he were really a Jedi. Then the man comes up to break up the fight, and he just waves his hand and says, "You will not come in my house." And the guy says, "Sorry, honey," and he just walks away.
Yeah, that's a good day, man.
This
Jedi
is not
mind
the
tricks.
house you're looking for.
Yeah. So is this guy going to get in trouble?
It didn't mention any charges. I'm sure something here is against the law. But
What do you think the police are thinking when Zelda walks in, to the police station? They're like, what is this?
I can't get past the fact that the guy with the Zelda sword actually was living with another woman.
That is amazing.
A man who likes Zelda that much can't possibly be married or have a girlfriend.
Yeah, where do you get a Zelda sword? Where is this store? Because I'd like to purchase one.
Amazon has everything.
May I just add to this girl, if she's listening, if you're into guys that are into video games too much, I am available.
Do you have a Zelda sword?
I don't have a Zelda sword.
So,
But, I always said, and it's harder and harder to plead insanity in a case nowadays, but I always said that if I was going to kill someone, I wouldn't do it with a gun, I wouldn't do it with a knife. I would find something really obscure like a baby rattle to bludgeon him with, because that way, the police are just like, a baby rattle? How is it possible that he managed to kill this man with a baby rattle? And two, why a baby rattle? And and then you could plead insanity later on, because what person in their right mind would use a baby rattle for murder?
I would just like to, for the record and for the authorities, to declare I have no plan for murder.
By the way, David, thank you for that baby rattle. Appreciate you. Did I just out you as an accomplice?
With or without baby rattle. I don't follow game. I can't even make a lot of video game references because I'm just not a universe I'm in. That's why I always have to go to like Miss Pac-Man or Candy
But don't you
Crush.
see the commercials? I'm not a gamer. I don't own a game system. I haven't since I was probably 16. But you see the commercials for new games all the time, and it's out there.
Yeah,
There's always something.
I suppose. I think they just don't register in my brain. My son hogs the TV and Netflix. Do they play commercials during Ninjago on Netflix? Because if they then yeah, I'm probably seeing it.
Well, that's actually a good place to transition probably to our next topic, because you mentioned your son. You're a father. I'm a father. Jason is a proud father of several video games. So there was a story in the Washington Post this week, and apparently the SATs, the standardized test when you're preparing for college, has dropped the essay requirement and returned to a top score of 1,600 in redesign of admissions. So I don't know about you, but that really upsets me.
Okay.
Because I feel like the essay is probably should be the most important part of the exam. Do you know what I mean?
No, I follow you. I think that this is just, probably the further move of if I call it the dumbing down of America.
Right.
I mean,
here's the thing, though, okay? We can prepare our children to cram for tests. And I feel like that's what we do a majority of the time in the education system nowadays, where we get ready for tests because that's what we have to do to go from one stage in our education to the next. And to me, that's infuriating, because kids should be learning how to think critically. Kids should be learning how to think freely and to use their minds in a way that are going to benefit them in the real world, to be confronted by obstacles and create solutions for getting over those obstacles.
There's some fundamental skills that education needs to teach, because I'm with you on the critical thinking. And I think that our education structure as it is right now actually does very poorly on the critical thinking front. There is some basic skills that they need to learn: some reading, some writing, some math. Those things are, and those things you can't change. So those things also have to be tested by a test. I can see how testing those skills is the only way to get about that. But critical thinking and the mastery of the English language is very important. Right. And I think that that's where the essay comes in.
Yes.
And to formulate a thought. Because in this day and age, like I'm pretty frightened by you have all these technology things that help you to write your emails and write your letters, where people don't have to have the skill to use basic English that they used to have, and this is a move away from that, and I think that's the wrong move.
So much focus anymore seems to be put on I-STEPs and SATs and standardized tests, and I just think we're starting to teach kids to remember information as opposed to teaching kids to think.
Well, I think that started a long time ago. I'm going to confess to you, when I went to Bible college, my whole goal each week was to get by the test, get the homework done, and to get by the quizzes. It wasn't the accumulation of knowledge. I can't promise you that I know any more about the Bible than anyone else, and I studied it for 3 years in Bible college because my goal, I was an awful student, I suppose, even in college. I got the good grades, but I can't promise you that I know anything.
I don't even know if you, and that's the thing is you don't retain information when you study just to pass the test.
Right. And that's anything I did in high school, college, I did just to pass the test. Don't ask me any questions about my Zelda sword, but I did just to pass the high school. I did. As I explain it this way, Jason was a good student. He did his homework. He dotted every I. He made sure every T was crossed. I made sure it got to my locker. That was my that was my strategy in high school. But I think when we are trying to educate such a mass number, the focus of education becomes how do we educate large numbers of people? And what that does is it creates the easy path to education. Do you follow? If I'm being clear on that?
Yeah, but and that's why people they make I guess they allude to images like a shepherd herding sheep.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like you have to get them to all walk in the same direction, and they're just moving from one end of the fence to another end of the fence so that they can get to graduation. But you don't know what kind of person they're going to come out as on the other side. And we're not, I mean, it's such a short-sighted goal to say that we're creating students and we want to get them through to graduation, which is 4 years later. We are creating the leaders of tomorrow. We are creating the teachers of tomorrow, the educators of tomorrow. We are creating the parents of tomorrow in these school systems. And we have to, I mean, it's got to be so much more than that because these are the people that are going to take care of us when we're older.
No, I totally agree. And what happens is if a kid has potential, and I think many of our kids have a lot of potential, but what happens is when you're selling textbooks and you're selling curriculum that's going to just challenge the status quo enough, to just be challenging enough for the majority, what you do, and to a certain degree, is it possible that you stifle those kids with more potential than that? Because it's the system is set when you're trying to educate such large numbers of people. You're not saying, well, how can I get Johnny to reach his potential? You're saying, how can I get those center 50% to pass the test, to reach this benchmark? When we should be saying, how can I get Johnny to reach his fullest potential? And you can't do that in a sense of with large-scale bureaucracies. That's why we need, I mean, my humble 2 cents, more local schools, because education is an area where creativity needs to thrive, to pull out that potential in kids.
And here's what I think we need to do is like a full reform where we take the current system and we throw it out the window. It's like you said, there might be some things like math and science where you want your kids to have a general knowledge about what's going on, and so maybe to a certain degree, you know, you have some tests and some things early on in their education to kind of conquer those concepts. But what if, and I've always said this, what if we took our education system and we thought about things a little differently? So smaller classes and everything. On a local level, obviously, it would work better. But we take kids, and obviously, when you're born, everyone is kind of wired with certain interests and certain things that they're drawn to. And you look at those interests, and all right, so if I'm interested in English and I'm interested in writing and politics, then you nurture those interests, specifically with me. Basically what I'm saying is if every kid focused on their interests and they studied those interests because they were interested in them, then over time, if you milk that, you create a nation of specialists. But I am going to be the absolute best writer. You might be the absolute best auto mechanic. You know, you might be the next cardiovascular surgeon, you know, depending on what you wanted to study all throughout school, and because you milked it. And here's the thing. Right now, we don't have a society of specialists, really. We have very few specialists, and we have more like jack of all trades, master of none.
Right. It is. Our school system is not raising visionaries and revolutionaries and people are going out there to set the world on fire, so to speak. It's raising people who know how to meet deadlines, live in a cubicle,
right,
and fit in the system that's already made and formulated. Follow the formula.
Yeah, it's the hamster wheel, man.
And that's not what we need. We need guys going out saying, I'm going to make my own formula.
Right.
And I'm going to change the world. I'm not going to just accept the status quo.
Yes.
I like your strategy on education.
Yep.
For the following reason, because really what you want to do is, when you're teaching something like reading, it doesn't matter entirely what those kids are reading. Just get the reading skill up. If they're interested, like what you're saying, in piano or music, let them read about music. Get that skill. And so, yeah, the student thinks, oh, wow, I'm reading about something that I like, but guess what's really happening? They're learning they're learning how to read. Now, I do think there are some things that you absolutely, for a good education, even if the kids aren't interested, as a responsible citizen, you have to teach them. I think you have to teach them our Constitution. There's some classics, Shakespeare. You eventually have to expose them to, and I think that you have to expose them to these cultural things. And it can't just all be about interest, but you use.
Well, if it's culture, that's why they could listen to the Cap.
I'm with
Absolutely.
you. That is a good call. That's a good call. They need to pipe this into every classroom in America.
The Culture and Arts podcast will be part of your mandatory curriculum.
I think that alone would revolutionize education. Remember Channel 1? Did you guys have Channel 1?
Yeah.
Oh, I know Jason did. Did you?
Yeah,
have
we had Channel 1.
Man, that's what we need. The Cap piped in like Channel 1.
Mrs. Todd. Who's the stinky man? Why doesn't he take showers?
So it's okay to stab someone with a Zelda sword?
I'm only eating pizza from now on.
Right? This is the direction of education. Can I say one more thing about
Absolutely,
this?
man.
I'm kind of harsh on education because I really think that what it does poorly is when you teach that you have to get the grade, and that's the motivation. And I know there's a lot of people out there, and I wish I got good grades so I could speak this, with some authority. But I think the problem is when in life your goal, when you get out of school, is to have marketable skills and to build wealth, your education likely hasn't prepared you for that real well. And so I think we have to begin to show people how. I mean, at some point, we have to teach people how to build wealth and how to develop marketable skills.
Sure.
And the education system doesn't always tie those things into that. And I think that's... And I think our most academic students struggle with that the most.
Uh-huh.
I could be mistaken.
Well, I mean, our system, as it currently is, might even teach the opposite of wealth building
Right.
and different things because
Right.
the idea is, everybody can go to college, everybody can... find a way to find their way into some university. If you can't pay for it, it's okay. Here, we'll give you all this student loan debt.
One more hobby horse on that. I actually think they are trying to push everyone to college, and I don't think
Everyone, yeah.
I don't think that's a good. I think some people need to go to college. Some people need to go to trade school.
Right.
Some people the military. Some people, and some people may need to go straight into the workforce. So I don't think there's anything wrong.
What about
with,
entrepreneurs?
right?
Yeah.
Right.
People can start a business right out of high
business.
school if they want to, as long as they can do it right.
Yeah, actually, and I think they need to be encouraging more people to start a business.
Yeah.
That would be, and maybe there could be some private companies out there start some grants and say you get certain grades in high school, you take your business classes, you write a business proposal, we'll give you a little grant to start your thing. That's the kind of thing we need in this country.
Definitely, and we need more podcasters.
That's what I'm saying. What class can you learn?
I was part of a communications program in my college, and we had our own radio show. But it was interesting because it was my best friend John and I did a show. It was a spinoff of, is it All Things Interesting or All Things?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we made it All Things Honest.
Okay.
And at a Christian college, we had a lot of rules about what we could and could not discuss on the student radio station.
Right.
And we broke all of them intentionally. And I'm telling you, man, we didn't think anybody listened to this radio program, but the guy who ran the station was definitely listening.
Right.
And he would be in there on a nightly basis, breaking through the door. What are you guys doing? You can't talk about that. You guys are at the wrong school if you think that's going to be an entertaining program for this campus.
We had a good time I think our senior year it was called Studio 100 because the classroom was in room 100 in our high school. And we did some crazy stuff where we probably would have been arrested. I'm not kidding. We probably would have been arrested if we produced the shows that we produced back then now. On our last episode, like our senior episode, we blew up the school. Like and we showed it blowing up. I had a whole thing where I took on the military. It was like the military would come in, the Army would come in and have these weekends, I suppose, where you throw grenades or something. I don't know. You'd spend the weekend with the military, and so in the announcement it specified young men. So I just ran with that. I'm like only young men, and all this. So. Army representatives came in and like, oh no, females can go. Oh yeah, it was great. Oh yeah, and so then, and at the end of that, we showed like a clip from last year's event and showed like a plane crashing and stuff. So
that's funny. That reminds me of that scene from Austin Powers, where Dr. Evil is sitting in with like the world leaders, but he's back in the 1970s, and he shows them a clip of Independence Day, where the spaceship shoots the laser down on the White House, and they're all like, "Oh my gosh!" And he's like, "No, I'm just kidding. That was actually a clip from the 1994 film Independence Day."
Right.
It was always weird your senior year when you guys were doing that Studio 100 thing because I would be watching it in English class, and I would be the only person laughing at it.
Come on, that can't be true.
Was that, because I loved it, and I got your guys' sense of humor, but like people would think I was an oddball because I was laughing so hard.
We were kind of absurd before absurd was cool.
Yeah,
and we were like, and so if there was a generation of us, that's why I think it's shifting into the market now. Because we were out there throwing it at people in 1993. We had a good time.
Didn't you have some clever nickname back in the day when you guys were running around being the Breakfast Club at your Hartford City school?
You're kidding me, right?
Of course.
What was that nickname?
It was Super Virgin.
Oh, that was your nickname?
Yeah.
No,
what else did you think it was?
What was your Twitter name for a moment? Am
Am
I thinking of you? Am I thinking of Mick DLT?
No, he's the Mick DLT.
You're the Mick DLT.
Yeah,
What was your...
David was the Big Mac.
The Big Mac. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I could have went with that. Yeah,
Man, you didn't have to out yourself about Super Virgin. I was talking about the Big Mac.
Right? No. Because I was kind of a flirt. So and Mackin was kind of flirting. So they called me the Big Mac.
That's what they called when you flirted a lot back then. It was you were macking.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I asked you about your nickname, man, I feel really bad about asking now.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You're gonna, like,
I never even heard that story. But you showed us an article this week about Kesha, cha-ching, with the dollar sign in her name, and
right.
The TikTok singer has now officially changed her name. Tell us a little bit about that.
She has taken the dollar symbol out and just put a regular S in.
And what was her incentive for that? Why did she do it?
I don't know if this is like kind of I don't know if this is like a post-rehab move or something. Like she came out of rehab and it's kind of linked together. I don't know if it's like a new birth of hers, but so I don't know. She just says she doesn't need the dollar sign anymore. Did she need it to begin with?
I don't know if she needed it to begin with. It always confused.
Maybe it's just a sign that she's not in a very good financial place, and maybe she's just broke.
Yeah, or she's just done with. I don't need money anymore. No. I've got plenty of it. I'm rich.
When I actually read when I read the title of the article, I actually thought that that's what she was saying is I don't need money, and then I get in there, I'm like, oh no, she's changed her name. She doesn't need the dollar sign in her. Like I'm like, wow, she can give me some of that money she has.
Yeah. Or she lost. I was in rehab, and me and Lindsay Lohan and Selena Gomez were playing a game of poker, and I went all in, and I lost it all to Selena Gomez. Now she's blowing it on a new Beamer for Bieber, and here I am broke, so I've got to remove the dollar sign from my name.
Right. She lost her dollar sign in rehab. So,
but that's interesting that she's changing her name because apparently, that's just a fad throughout Hollywood. I remember when Prince changed his name to the symbol.
Yeah.
And when he was walking around with slave on his forehead.
I didn't quite know how, like if I knew Prince and his name was that symbol, I didn't quite know how to address him. Was he Prince still, and that symbol meant Prince, or was he just that symbol? Like,
well, no, when it was the symbol, he was the artist formerly known as Prince. Is how you were supposed to address it.
Okay, so I would say, hey, artist.
And the beef at that time was actually that his record label was claiming rights and privileges over all of the songs that he had created up until that point, but he wanted to get away from that record label.
Okay.
However, he wanted to be Prince, but they were saying that they owned the name Prince.
Okay.
All right, so they wouldn't give him, I mean, he couldn't collect royalties or anything, and if he was out using that name, but he wasn't a part of their label, then he would have to pay them, essentially.
Man, the music industry's crazy.
So he walked around with the word slave on his forehead because he felt like he was a slave to that label at the time until he had written out a certain contract. And so for the time being, he changed his name to that symbol as a way to rebel against the record label because, people still would call him Prince or the artist formerly known as Prince or something like that. But he trademarked that as a way to stick it to the man.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, the top 10 most ridiculous celebrity name changes is an article that we've got this week, and we're going to take a look at some of the most probably irritating as well as some of the most awesome name changes in the entertainment industry. So why don't you start us out with that, David?
As I know him, Snoop Dogg, he's changed his name, and Snoop Dogg was not his original name. I guess his original name was Calvin, I think, Brodus Jr.
That's his real name. That's his legitimate name.
Right, that's his legit name, to Snoop Dogg, and then now to Snoop Lion.
Yeah, but it was really Snoop Dogg, and then Snoop Doggy Dog,
right?
Snoop D-O double jizzle, and then Snoop Lion. They left a few out, is all I'm saying. There was a few reincarnations of that name.
I don't think the Snoop Lion move was needed. I know he's going reggae or something, but
he did. He went for one album, and now he's back to doing something different.
Is he back to Snoop Dogg now, or is he still Snoop Lion?
I want to say that he changed it to something even more extreme.
Huh.
So if you move on to the next name, I'll look up what his new name is real quick.
Okay.
Because I think he's now embracing a different kind of music under a different moniker.
I don't think this is going to be the last we've heard of name changes for Snoop, though.
No.
And it's probably not going to be the last of name changes for a lot of celebrities.
When you smoke that much weed, you have a short attention span.
Don't you sometimes wish that... I mean, do you wish you could change your name like this?
To whatever I wanted it to be?
Sure.
What would you change your name to?
D-Zilla.
D-Zilla?
I guess. I don't know.
That's cool. You wouldn't want to mess with a dude named D-Zilla.
Yeah,
that's
right.
True.
That's it. I don't know. Or maybe I just change my name to, something totally like trademark, like Superman or Captain America or something like that.
Oh, and you get sued,
or
right?
Zelda Sword. All right. Remember Lisa Bonet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She was married to Lenny Kravitz for a minute, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was.
And she was from The Cosby Show?
That's why you're the host of the Cat, man. You can't be stumped. Can't be stumped. She changed her name to Lil Akoi Moon, I believe is.
Say what?
I don't know. We're going to move off. We're going to move off that.
And the weird thing is, if you read that, she named her son something even stranger.
Now, what is it with
or at least even more hard to pronounce. I think,
What is it with celebrities that they have to name their children weird, too?
They want the attention.
They exploit their children. Like Nicolas Cage named his child Kal-El. Now, as much as I'd love to say that's cool, that's cruel. Any thoughts on that?
No, it's a pretty sweet name. What's wrong with Kal-El? You think that because it's a Superman-related thing that he's going to get teased growing up?
I would think a little bit. I mean, at least he named him a tough guy. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I met a guy, kid you not, his name, Donald Duck.
No.
I'm not joking.
Donald Duck.
His name was Donald Duck. When he showed me his credit card.
That was his legitimate name?
That was legit name, Donald Duck. His last name Duck, first name Donald.
Wow. Hey, for the record,
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg's new moniker is DJ Snoopadelic.
Huh.
Yeah.
I want to be David
He's
Delic.
creating like a funk electronic dance thing now.
I dig that.
Yeah, so DJ Snoopadelic.
I want to be David Delic.
David Delic. If I had to change my name, it would be Rambo Jones. Not really sure why. There was like how they used to have things on Facebook where you could punch in your name and it would tell you what your hip-hop name is and tell you. Well, I did one time to tell me what my porn name would be. And it was Rambo Jones.
Right.
And I thought that was pretty cool because Rambo was the name of my first dog.
Okay.
Right. And Jones is like my mother's maiden name.
Okay.
So I could be Rambo Jones. Like that's pretty cool.
All right.
Sounds tough.
It's always nice to incorporate your mother's family into your porn.
Yeah. Exactly. You gotta honor the family name, right?
So, right.
I always say I'm going to change my name to Tim McGraw.
Tim McGraw.
Yeah.
Why Tim McGraw?
Because the ladies always say, I love me some Tim McGraw.
Yeah.
I'll just
Right.
mooch off that.
Yeah.
Maybe Faith Hill comes into my apartment sometime in confusion.
You trying to find a little faith? You probably have
Right.
more luck at church.
Right. You better have that Zelda sword out. If Tim goes coming to your house. This one is the most craziest one. Though. This is almost kind of offensive to me.
Okay.
He goes from bad to worse in my mind.
Okay.
Old dirty bastard.
Yeah.
Changed
From the
his
Wu-Tang Clan.
right, which I think's an awful name, by the way.
Uh-huh.
And changes his name to Big Baby Jesus.
That's right.
No.
And in the middle there, another one they left out was he was Dirt McGirt, too. That was another name.
Is it strange
for
that
ODB.
Dirt was his best name? I actually, if I got
He
to
went from
vote,
ODB to Dirt McGirt to Big Baby Jesus.
I think I like Dirt McGirt. Can he be Dirt McGirt? That's the one.
ODB, rest in peace.
I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not real fond of people. I don't know. I don't know if this is a mockery. I mean, is he trying to say that he's honoring Jesus here?
I don't.
What's it
Well,
do?
maybe I don't know. Maybe he had some Hispanic blood or ancestry, and it was actually Big Baby Jesus.
Who knows?
It's very possible.
So, very possible. All right. All right. This one, I didn't. It is what it is. I think her name was Karen Johnson. You know who this is going to be?
No, who's Karen Johnson?
Whoopi Goldberg.
What? Her name's not really Whoopi Goldberg?
I know. I didn't know. I thought she was Whoopi Goldberg.
It's interesting. That's kind of a generational thing too. You remember the dating shows from back in like the 70s and everything?
Yeah.
Whenever they referred to intimacy, it was making whoopee.
Making whoopee.
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
So do you think that's what she was going for?
I don't know.
My parents made me while making whoopee, so I shall be whoopee. And then I'd also kind of like to be Jewish. So Goldberg is what my last name's going to be.
If she was going to steal something from a game show, couldn't she be like the Showcase Showdown or something? I mean, why'd she have to go with Whoopi? I don't
Jeopardy.
know. So no, Double Jeopardy. There we go.
What is whoopee?
What? Right? I don't think this one's bad. I don't know. I really don't know why people change their names. Mark Sinclair, Vincent, to Vin Diesel.
Mark Sinclair Vincent.
Mark Sinclair Vincent to Vin Diesel.
That's not. I mean, Vin.
Yeah,
at least for
Vin,
Vincent.
He pulled off the Vincent. Diesel, he pulled out of a gas pump.
Yeah.
So it at least sounds tough. It sounds.
He wanted to sound like a macho guy.
Oh yeah,
and I can't fault him for that. And he is a macho guy.
But I think when you are likely as tough as Vin Diesel, he could make Mark Sinclair Vincent tough. You know what I'm saying? If his name was Mark Vincent, does he lose anything?
I don't know. Maybe if they initialed it and they made it like MS, so it's like Ms. Vincent, then it totally negates his prowess.
Right. I think I think there's certain guys in Hollywood like Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. I mean, his name could be Sissy McGee, and you're not.
Sissy McGee.
And
Darcy.
So
Darcy Spanksella.
Now I heard this one, and I think it's just this was a clear shot for attention here. Ron Artest.
Oh yeah, World Peace.
Yes. Is it Meta World Peace?
Meta World
Peace.
I remember when this story broke, when he was
So-
changing his name. I do, and I'm not even a sports guy, and I saw that headline, and I was just like, WTF. Fucking use the internet language here on the podcast.
One of the most, roughest NBA players changes his name to World Peace.
Yeah.
He leads the league in technicals most every year he's played.
There's some irony there.
Yeah, and
I just think...
And didn't they have World Peace on the back of his jersey?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. It's just, don't you think that these things are, like in this guy's case, don't you think it's like, hey, look at me, I care about people or something? It's just...
Yeah, there's some...
it's just pretentious.
Yeah, exactly. Pretentious. There are some NBA players, some professional athletes, like Ron Artest, Kobe, Terrell Owens.
Mm-hmm.
They just get such big egos.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
And they do the most absurd things, man. They want to become a rapper, or wasn't Ron Artest? Was he a rapper?
I
also,
think so.
He tried to be a rapper, and he put out a really vulgar album.
Mm-hmm.
I think I heard something about that.
I mean, I don't know. I just think, do you have to put the cause that you care about on the back of your shirt and change your name to it? Like, should I change my name to End Famine or End Sex Trafficking or something? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think, just
Yeah, just don't make it end sex trafficking, because if they abbreviate it, it's EST, and they'll just think you're repping your time zone.
So, right?
Or they might just put sex trafficking on your jersey.
So I wasn't even trying to be funny. I'm just saying, do we need to put...
In which case, don't drop the soap, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to say, give money, volunteer, don't change your name. Keep your name around our test. So, Stephen Dimitri Gigerlu, I don't know.
Giorgio.
Giorgio, there we go. To Cat Stevens, to Yusuf Islam.
Yusuf Islam. Right on. Okay.
So, you digging that one? You changing your name to any of that?
Yusuf?
Yeah.
To Yusuf Islam? No.
Yeah, me neither.
But to create a name like that means that you made use of Islam.
Right.
And
All
the
right.
crowd doesn't laugh at all. Okay.
All right, here
All
we
right.
all know this one. Puff Daddy, P. Diddy to Diddy. We're familiar with that one. I don't think that's so much ridiculous as he just always trying to mix it up.
Puff Daddy to P. Diddy, that's right. Although they left out the shiny suit man. Which is also a moniker of his.
So, all right, Chad Johnson to Chad Ocho Cinco.
That's not his real name? I always thought Ocho Cinco was his real name.
Oh, no, it stands for 85, right? Or 85 or something.
His number was 85, and people always give him a hard time because Ocho Cinco is 85, not 85 in Spanish.
Yeah.
Was that just a failure, or did he just like the way Ocho Cinco
He
sounded?
probably knew 8 and 5, and so just said, "Yeah, I'm Ocho Cinco."
I get.
Ocho Cinco sounds a lot cooler than Ocho y Cinco.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys do. I think that's the final one. These guys have to do this for some kind of payoff. What's the payoff here?
Well, in the case of Ocho Cinco, he's always a guy that's had these elaborate celebrations on the sidelines, drawn a lot of attention to himself. So he had like a fake Ocho Cinco on his jersey, and so he wanted to get it on the real jersey, and the NFL wouldn't let him, so he changed his name so they would have to.
Okay.
And that's all it really was.
Remember the XFL?
Yeah.
And they could put things like "He Hate Me" on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I remember
now,
He Hate Me.
That would be fun playing football, just to put some fake name on your shirt or something like that. And
Yeah, there's actually one player left from the XFL in the NFL.
Who is it?
I can't remember his name, but he
He
plays,
was in the last Super Bowl, right?
he plays for Denver.
Okay, right. Plays for Denver. Yeah, interesting stuff. I don't know. What would you put on the back of your XFL jersey, Jason?
Give me an NFL contract. I don't know.
Oh, that would be great.
He's pleading. I would probably sell myself out to an advertiser, So I might have like Pepto-Bismol on the back of my jersey. I might have Mentos,
Right.
And I keep it fresh out on the field, and my nickname would be the Fresh Maker.
Man, you guys are I don't know why.
I have a mind for marketing.
Right?
All right. So wrapping up the topic on interesting names and moving on to something pretty similar, but this is the 13 most catchy songs of all time list that we found. I don't know that they're all going to be here, guys. There's a lot of songs out there that are catchy as all get out, and I just don't know if you can capture the most ridiculously catchy songs in 13 in a list
No,
of 13.
I feel you. The reason I brought this one to the table this week is because have you heard that song by, is it Pharrell?
Pharrell.
I'm
Pharrell
sorry.
Williams. Yeah.
Pharrell Williams. That song, Happy, that is a great song.
Yeah, it's a great song.
And it's taking the kingship of catchy songs.
Did you see him at the Academy Awards, at the Oscars?
I didn't.
He performed that song live, and he went out into the audience where all the celebrities were sitting awaiting their awards, and some of the celebrities actually got up and danced with him while he was singing it. So Meryl Streep got up and danced with him at one point. Amy Adams got up and danced with him at one point.
I hear that. Did he have a hat on?
Yeah,
crazy hat?
he's been wearing this Curious George Ranger bucket hat.
I believe he sold it to charity.
Did he?
And Arby's bought it.
Yeah.
Because did it kind of look like an Arby's hat?
It did a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
And so that's kind of where they bought it, and he donated that to his charity or whatever. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's
I didn't
neat.
see it. That song, I mean, if you were at the Oscars, would you have danced? I mean, that song's incredible.
Yeah, that song's incredibly catchy. And it's funny because, the last year in 2013, potentially the most catchy big song of that year was Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines,
Right.
which Pharrell was also responsible for because
Oh.
he created the beat, he produced the track, he was in the video, and Pharrell has been on fire off and on since I was a teenager. I mean, he's done some great, great stuff.
Huh.
And he's worked with everybody from Justin Timberlake to, hip-hop's most prominent artists like Jay-Z to Gloria Estefan, and he's done a little bit of everything.
And
so he's a popular producer.
His song with Daft Punk, Get Lucky, that's a pretty...
That was another big one in 2013.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
I don't know if it necessarily supports my morals, but it's a good beat. I'm liking this funk sound that seems to be coming out of the music industry right now. I think you would call it funk, maybe a dash of disco. That
Probably a good time for Snoopadelic.
right?
Yeah.
David Delic.
David Delic.
I'm getting into funk music.
Jason Delic.
Right.
Joe Delic.
So
I don't like Joe Delic. That sounds weird.
that does.
That could almost be a real name.
Sounds a bit like I need to wash my mouth out with soap or something.
I think that is your real name.
Joe Delic.
I think you have had a celebrity name change.
I don't know.
You went from Joe
Going down to the courthouse on Monday.
right.
Well, let's go ahead and start with the list of the 13 most catchy songs of all time, and we'll see if we can co-sign on whether or not they actually belong on this list.
Hey Ya by Outkast. What do you think? You think that belongs?
I would put this. I'd put it on the list.
Yeah. I don't know if it would cross my mind right away when I'm thinking about the most catchy songs, but I think it probably goes there.
Yeah, I see where they're going with that. I'm with you. I don't know if it's necessarily caught my catchy, that spot in your brain where catchy music hits.
You don't walk around your kitchen sometimes going, shake it like a Polaroid
I
picture.
don't. I haven't. Have you?
Yeah.
Why are you in my kitchen?
Frequently. I frequently walked around your kitchen shaking it like a Polaroid picture.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I guess "Take on Me" by Aha is our next pick.
I don't know if that one would have made my list at all.
I think it can get there. It doesn't get in that spot where catchy music gets stuck, but I can fathom it.
I like the song. I don't know that catchy is the word I would use.
Right.
Can I tell you the song that's been stuck in my head for 20 years, or probably even longer than that, and Jason can verify this.
Which one?
The theme to The Love Boat.
Yes.
Oh, you brought this up on the podcast before.
I have. All right, then I'll move on.
It really has been stuck in his head.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Even in the last few weeks.
So,
But when I guess classify, or my criteria for a really catchy song is it's going to be a song that repeats a lot of the same stuff over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just your standard pop song where it's verse, chorus,
Right.
Right.
Bridge, chorus, or something like that. It's going to be something that just repeats things. Like,
Right.
probably is way too repetitive. And it's going to be a song that you initially hate, but once you've heard it enough times, you can't get it out of your head, and you're always singing it. And you hate yourself for it, but at the same time, it becomes a guilty pleasure.
I don't share
That's
this.
the criteria.
I don't share this.
There's a very good example in this list of that for me. I'll wait till we get to it.
Okay.
I don't share that sentiment, though, that you have to hate it.
It's not something that you advertise, though.
Now, that may be... I may advertise, though. I think I would advertise.
A good example of this for me is My Humps by the Black Eyed Peas.
Right? That's
Okay? It's very repetitive.
Definitely.
They say the same, my humps, my lovely lady lumps, or whatever. And I tell you what, that song initially, like, I'm a grown man. I should not be walking around singing that song.
Right?
But I did.
Well-
But I wouldn't advertise it to the world when it was happening.
We'll have to see if that song makes the list, because that one is catchy.
That one is catchy.
And-
That would be like number one on my list.
Single Ladies, Put a Ring on It by Beyonce.
Now, I have to ask a question. Now, in the past, Beyonce has said that I'm not ready for this jelly. So is it still a good idea to put a ring on it?
No, she said you're not ready for this jelly. I don't think you're ready for this.
Well, that's what
jelly.
I'm saying. If I'm not ready, should I still put a ring on it?
That's a good point. Well, maybe if you have not put a ring on it at this point, then you're just proving her point that you're not ready.
That could be too.
Yeah.
You have my mind spinning of these Beyonce references. Yeah.
You know, I joked on Facebook a couple weeks ago that Beyonce talks about love more than any artist. And she talks about love in the most interesting circumstances. Because if you look at her catalog of music, it is Dangerously in Love, Dangerously in Love Part 2, Crazy in Love, Love on Top, Drunk in Love. It's like, man, there's just a ton of love on these Beyonce tracks.
You think she'd just go for In Love, In Love?
In Love, in Love. Yeah, Love in Love. Or we're also waiting, since she did Drunk in Love, for Sober in Love.
Right. Zelda in Love.
Yeah. I'm glad she came out with Dangerous in Love Part 2 because I had a lot of questions.
Yeah, unanswered.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm going to confess, you guys bust my chops about being a pop music guy, and I am. Beyonce doesn't even enter my radar very as someone.
I love Beyonce.
I think this is a popular song. I don't know if it's catchy. I think her one song, and Joe, since you're the, or Joe Delic, since you're the Beyonce connoisseur, you'll know. But it's the one that's like, to the left, to the left.
Irreplaceable.
Irreplaceable. That gets stuck in your brain.
Oh, yeah.
That one is Beyonce.
Yeah.
That
and
should be on
it's
the
that
list.
repetitiveness.
Yep.
And the same thing with why Single Ladies is probably on this list. Because, oh,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
who can't remember that?
That's true. That might be on there. I guess I've just never caught myself doing the thing.
Yeah.
So at least not in your kitchen. Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. Now I'm going to tell you, you know I love Michael Jackson. Billie Jean's one of the greatest single songs that you'll ever hear in your entire life. But I don't know if it qualifies our catchy criteria.
I don't think it qualifies. And my wife always says this song confuses her. She actually says Michael Jackson songs frequently confuse her. But this song in particular, it's like Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl who claims that I am the one, but the kid is not my son. And it's like, well, if she's making that claim, then it probably at least at one point she was your lover.
Right. Yeah, I can relate, I guess. But Michael Jackson music doesn't confuse me. I'll be glad to sit and listen to hours of Michael Jackson and explain these songs to your wife if you would like. But
You should write a book about it.
I should write a book about it.
About the background of each Michael Jackson song. But I do like Billie Jean because this is like early Michael Jackson when he was still bad.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And this is before I just give him a little glass of milk. And I just love the children. There's nothing evil about it. It's just about love.
Oh yeah, there was. I think it was a Mad. There was a Mad TV skit one time where it had cool Michael Jackson facing wacko Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
and that was pretty funny. I love Michael Jackson. It's so sad that he had to go like insane or whatever.
Yeah.
His problem is, but his music's incredible.
So Billie Jean would not be on my list of the most catchy.
But it's a great song.
But it's a great song.
Can't be
It's a
hated.
great song.
I think most of Michael Jackson's songs were too good to be catchy.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's insulting to his music to call it catchy.
Yeah. You know, those catchy songs, I think that's another criteria. I think they're, and not always, but they are more likely to be one-hit wonders.
Right.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think you're right. Losing My Religion by R.E.M.
No. This would not make my list at all.
I-
I actually like the song.
I'm not crazy about the song, but it's got stuck in my head.
Yeah.
So I could wrap my mind around it, but when we're kind of have this standard for what we view as catchy, I can see how this would not hit it. But it's been stuck in my head.
Because I also think with catchy, I think there has to be a little bit of fun to it.
Yeah.
And this is not a fun song by any means.
No,
Right.
not at all. That's a very deep song. And
Yeah.
if you were going to get an REM song stuck in your head, you're much more likely to get Shiny Happy People or It's the End of the World as We Know
Or
It.
Stand.
Yeah.
Stand in.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
you know, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Wow, this is weird. All those songs have been stuck in my head, and I would have told you that I'm not an REM fan
Yeah.
if you would have asked me. But they're the catchy kings, I'm saying.
Yeah.
I went through a big REM phase.
So
You went through a big REM phase?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, REM was a great group back in the day. Now here is a song that matches all of the criteria
Okay,
that we probably have put out there.
Uh-huh.
Umbrella by Rihanna.
right.
Yeah.
It repeats Umbrella multiple times. I loved this song when
It
came
doesn't
out.
just repeat umbrella. It repeats different variations and syllables of the word Umbrella, Umbrella, Ella, A.
I think this is Rihanna's best song.
Ever?
Mm-hmm.
And what's your criteria for the word best? How do you define best?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm open for debate here. I'm just saying this set a standard for me in my mind. I kind of dig the pop music. This definitely kind of was a pop song. And so her other stuff has just not...
If I don't like Rihanna as a person, but if I had to pick one of her songs that I liked the best, it would be The Only Girl in the World.
Okay.
Make me feel like you're the only...
Yeah, I get it.
Because it's got that, like, sexy kind of vibe, and then all of a sudden it's like this trance, techno, dance, like, pounding kind of music.
That's one of her...
Makes me want to dance. If you can see me right now,
Joe, sit
people
down.
listening to the podcast, I'm just grooving a little bit in my seat, and I can't help it.
Joe Delic, have a seat. Come on now.
Since we're sharing
Joe Delic needs to dance.
Since we're sharing favorite Rihanna songs, the only song I can think of that I really like, I hate to even admit to it because it's such an awful image, but she did the song with Eminem, I Love the Way You Lie.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's catchy.
So there's some stuff in there. I think we've mentioned Rihanna's best. Those three songs are probably in her best. I actually think that Shakira song that's out right now that she does with Rihanna, I actually think you could remove Rihanna from the song and it'd be okay.
And it would still be okay?
Yeah, I think that...
Now, in the video, Shakira is, like, gently brushing Rihanna's thigh.
Right.
So you would just have to, like, replace that with some other person or model.
Well, that's a whole different conversation.
You couldn't have the video without that scene. You know what I'm saying?
I got you,
Throat's all
but
sore.
I'm just trying to say that Shakira owns the vocal. She owns the song.
Yeah.
Even in the video when she's dancing, like Rihanna seems like she can't hang with Shakira. Shakira, like totally owns her in that, and I just think
her hips don't lie.
Right, and I just think Rihanna, like I don't know, I just think she's trying to like, she just should get out of that song.
Yeah, well, I agree.
So.
Glad You Came, The Wanted.
I don't know this song. I don't think. Do I know this song?
I'm sure you do. Jason, I got a bad voice. Sing it for us.
Right.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know this song.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Man, we're being real on the cap today.
Yeah, we are.
Moving on.
Sorry, The Wanted.
Sorry, The Wanted.
You're making no one's lists. We can't even remember you. Oh, here's one that I can agree to.
Oh yeah. I love some Daryl Hall and John Oates.
Man, me too.
We got Private Eyes here. Now, I love these guys.
Yeah, these guys are amazing.
And this song is their catchiest.
Oh, absolutely.
It's okay. It's in league with their catchiest. It is one of their catchiest.
All right, what's their...
You Make My Dreams Come True. You can't tell me that's not like one of the most catchy songs ever.
Hold on, man. You're challenging my Hall & Oates knowledge here because like they got some good songs. They got some catchy ones. I could see Man Eater being a catchy song.
Man Eater was another catchy one.
And then
but you're not co-signing on You Make My Dreams Come True.
I can't pull it out of my brain. What? So and then their top hit ever. What was that? I can't.
Sarah Smile.
So, man, Joe's really he's a fan.
I like Hall & Oates.
He's the president of the Hall & Oates fan club.
No, but You Make My Dreams Come True. And forgive me, Cap audience, for singing this to David because I have a sore throat. But well, you make my dreams come true.
I'm just kidding. I knew which song it was. I just wanted to hear you.
No, I'm editing that part out of this podcast.
I'm just
sore throat guy.
This song,
Private Eye is awesome.
Yeah, this song specifically, Saturday Night Live did one of their digital shorts many years ago where Willem Dafoe was in it, of all people.
Nice.
And you could actually have a chip.
The Green Goblin.
You could have a chip implanted in your brain that would play one song over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
So the song that got stuck in your head, you could choose.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe chose this song.
Yeah.
And he ended up going crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
all right.
He thought the NSA was watching him.
I don't remember.
This was the NSA before the NSA was a thing.
Yeah, I remember him going crazy. I don't remember exactly how he went crazy, but he's just kind of walking around with that evil smile on his face. Private eyes, clap are watching you.
Right?
Yeah, the clap makes it so much better. I will walk around singing this song frequently, and my wife thinks it's a creepy song, like a stalkerish song, kind of like we. In the first episode of The Cap, talked about Clay Aiken's If I Were Invisible.
Yes.
Creepy song. This is kind of in league with creepy songs, but it's still so damn catchy.
Right. Have you ever Googled, like, there's this group called Chromeo Online, and they sing some Daryl Hall with Daryl Hall, and it's pretty good stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Kiss on My List is another really catchy Hall & Oates
Yeah.
song.
You could go on. The more,
Yeah.
I mean, you name a Daryl Hall song.
Those guys are awesome.
And it's gonna be. Wait, this is weird because it's gonna be catchy and it's gonna be amazing.
I might have like 5 Hall & Oates songs if I were to create a catchiest song list.
Yeah.
There might be like 5 Hall & Oates songs on the
Right.
list.
Out of Touch. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think that's a catchy one.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Moving on to the next song, the number 5 on the list. Go ahead, David.
Blue by Eiffel 65.
You forgot Dabba D.
Uh,
Dabby D. Blue, parentheses, Dabby D.
Come on now. This song annoys me.
Yes. This is one of the most annoying songs. And that goes back to the criteria of they're frequently one-hit wonders.
This
Right.
is up there with Barbie World.
Barbie
and,
Girl.
You know, all
Barbie
of
Girl.
that.
Mambo number 5.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anyone?
How Bizarre by OMC.
Oh, man.
The Macarena.
The dreaded song list goes
Yes.
on.
Joe's just pulling out song after song of why I quit listening to pop music
Wannabe
right
by
now.
the Spice Girls. Yeah.
right. What? Where are some of these songs on this list?
I don't know.
Some of the, like they even had Usher's. Yeah, I don't think that even
That was
needs
not.
to-
Yeah, that was not at all.
They don't even need to be a part of the conversation. I'm too sexy. Is
I'm, right, said Fred.
that, right?
Yes.
That's kind of a catchy song, right?
Bop.
Right.
Chumbawamba. I get knocked down, but I get up again. Yeah. There was
Yeah.
a ton of them.
Jump Around.
Jump around. Absolutely.
But that
on
was
the
good.
hip hop side.
That was good.
Number
So,
4 is Call
Jay-
Me Maybe.
Jason's favorite song.
I'm going to be honest with you. This is the song I was talking about earlier.
This is the one?
Yeah, my niece introduced me to this song.
Yeah.
I got caught up in the parodies. And I fell in love with it.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of like it too.
You know, and
Really?
Yeah.
and I'll pull out my wallet and give you guys my man card if necessary.
Nah,
But
you
yeah,
can
that's-
keep it because I have to co-sign with you on
Yeah,
that.
because one of the best things I love the parodies that came from this, and there was one where somebody was editing clips from Star Wars where they were basically singing this song. I thought, man, even I have too much of a life to do that.
I love when they clip like Obama or a politician together and
Yeah.
sing the song. I love that stuff.
Nobody knows who Carly Rae Jepsen is, and she'll most likely never have another hit of this caliber. But this song will always be.
10 or
It'll
20
always be present.
10 or 20 years from now or whatever, when people will remember this song, but they will not remember her name.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's kind of like who sang.
And number 3 on the list. Does anyone know this?
No,
I don't know
Can't
this
be
song.
that catchy. It's not stuck in anybody's head in this room.
I have no idea what
I
that
don't know
was.
what
Ruby.
that is
All right,
either.
moving on. Ruby Kaiser.
The Kaiser Chiefs,
Kaiser
Ruby.
Chiefs.
Sorry,
Okay.
nobody knows you. Moving down the list. Yeah.
Right.
It must suck to be a one-hit wonder and no one even remembers your one hit.
Right.
Yeah. You guys never existed. What is Love by Hathaway? This song, absolutely catchy.
Would
Night
it-
at the Roxbury.
Yeah,
Yeah.
would it have been catchy if SNL didn't give it a little kind of a second boost there? You know?
Maybe not, but I'll always put this with Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan doing the head nod
Oh yeah, they own that. They hijacked the song, and now people always think
in their shiny purple suits.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, do you remember when those were stylish?
The shiny suits.
Yeah.
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 You know how they would in the club, Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan, Night at the Roxbury, they would like dance up on a woman. They would kind of sandwich her,
Right.
And they would like spastically move,
Right.
and she would freak out and like walk away. Sometimes when my wife's cooking, I do that. She hates it. I do like the party boy. So ironically, it turns out that Hathaway song, that What Is Love, was the last one on the list. That was the number 1 most catchy song according to this list.
I think we could have wrote a better list than this.
I think so too. I would have probably included Love Shack.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What about you, Jason? You include anything?
Nothing I can think of that we haven't covered already.
Yeah.
Can I tell you another song that's been kind of stuck in my head is the dun 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 dun. What's that TV
Sanford
show?
and Son.
Sanford. That song's
Yeah.
been stuck in my head forever.
Yeah, I whistle that song sometimes. Yeah, but in speaking of stuff from TV, I get stuck in my head a lot the theme from Reading Rainbow and the theme from Mr. Rogers' Won't You Be My Neighbor
Right. Okay.
song. I get those 2 songs stuck in my head often for some reason.
I randomly get Christmas songs stuck in my head when it's not Christmas time. For
Yeah?
some reason. Yeah.
There was a kid when I was in high school, a foreign exchange student. His name was Encore. I kid you not.
Okay.
Encore was his name. And apparently his parents loved him so much when they gave birth to him that they were hoping to have another one just like him.
Encore.
Encore. But he only, year-round, only listened to Christmas music. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. He would sit in study hall, and he would have headphones on, have a little Discman. What are you listening to, Encore? Oh, man, this is Jingle Bells. Oh, yeah? But it's September. No, it was that Destiny's Child one, though. It was really good. Like, they really covered that song well. Like, every day, Christmas songs. He thought that was the greatest part of American culture, was our Christmas music, and he would listen to it all the time.
Now, that's okay. I'll give him a break since he's a foreign exchange student and he's just trying to enjoy a different culture. Now, for me, I couldn't do that. I love Christmas, and I enjoy the Christmas season when it's in its place, and I don't want to run the risk of overdoing Christmas.
You can only rock around the Christmas tree when there is a Christmas tree to rock around.
Right?
Just saying.
But like I said on a previous show, there are still Christmas decorations out.
Let's go ahead and end it before we let it linger on too long, like those people's Christmas decorations. We've been on for about an hour and 20 minutes now. That's awesome. Probably our longest issue of the Culture and Arts Podcast. Yep, we're going to go ahead and tip the cap and round up this show. David, who would you like to tip the cap to today?
All right, I'm going to follow Jason's lead here, and I don't know if we're trying to not do this, but I have to tip the cap to Rand Paul. Gave a pretty incredible speech at CPAC. Yes, I believe it was yesterday. Mm-hmm. So I'm tipping the cap to Rand Paul.
Okay. Jason?
I'm going to tip the cap to LeBron James. He scored 61 points the other night, a career high, and I want him to have a really good year, so when the Pacers beat him in the playoffs, it'll be all that much more enjoyable.
Go Pacers.
Sure. I haven't given this much thought. I'm going to tip the cap to Kanye West because I know that David hates Kanye West, and he was just talking about how there's no good rap music nowadays. I actually happen to think that Kanye West's first album, The College Dropout, was one of the greatest rap albums of all time, and I was listening to it in my car the other day. And so because I know that David is just not a Kanye West fan, I'm going to tip my cap to him in spite.
Are you going to even give me the last word? I mean, come on now. Like you're going to throw a Kanye.
I can tip the cap to whoever I want to tip the cap to. It's my cap. Don't make me bust a cap.
You're going to throw a Kanye love out there, and then see you next week. You know what I mean? So, just one thing in my argument. If you've seen his most recent performance on SNL, what the heck was that?
It was crazy.
Crazy.
It was crazy. But at the same time, though, he's been a lot more reasonable in his dialogue and the way that he's been doing interviews lately.
Okay.
Like he seems like a much more real person as opposed to, for a while it seemed like he was definitely a prima donna, and he was like a diva when he would give these talks to anybody. It always seemed like he was larger than life. And lately, he's been having conversations, and it's just like, yeah, okay. Like he's definitely artistically in a place where he feels like he's above everyone else. Mm-hmm. But he actually seems like he's got some valid points for why he believes that. So at least he can rationalize his ego.
All I'm saying is he should change his name to Joe Dellett.
Joe Dellett?
Yeah. He needs to.
That's my name now. I'm Joe Dellett. From now on, when we do the cap, and we're going to leave it on this. Instead of saying, welcome to the Culture and Arts Podcast, this is Joe Ruiz, I will say this is Joe Dellett.
There you go.
And on that note, we will see you next week.